Why do the quietest people often feel the most intimidating in the room? In a world addicted to noise, silence is misunderstood as weakness. We are taught to speak fast, explain everything, and react immediately, as if volume equals value. Yet the more we talk, the more control we quietly surrender. The room listens not to the loudest voice, but to the most centered presence. Silence is not avoidance, it is restraint. From a Stoic perspective, power begins with mastery over impulse. When you pause instead of reacting, you take back authority over the moment. That pause unsettles others because it reveals something rare: self-command. The people who speak less are not empty, they are disciplined. Today, you will discover 10 traits of people who use silence as strength, not shelter. These traits are not tricks. They are habits forged through self-control. By the end, you will see why silence doesn't ask for respect. It commands it. Trait 1. They don't react emotionally. When someone provokes you, the instinct is to respond immediately, to defend yourself, to prove your worth. That reaction feels powerful, but in reality, it hands control to the other person. People who speak less understand something most never learn. Emotional reactions are invitations to be controlled. They refuse that invitation. When an insult comes, when tension rises, when pressure hits, they pause. That pause is not weakness, it is discipline. In that moment of silence, they regain ownership of themselves. Stoic philosophy teaches that you are not harmed by events, but by your judgment of them. When you react emotionally, you surrender that judgment. When you pause, you choose it. This is why calm unsettles aggressive people. They expect resistance, anger, or fear, and instead they meet stillness. Silence becomes a mirror they didn't ask to face. Think about the moments in your life when you lost control. It was rarely because you said too little, but because you said too much, too fast. Emotional reactions leak power. The quiet person keeps that power sealed inside. They breathe, observe, and let the moment pass before deciding their response. This is not passive, it is precise. If you want to command respect, start here. The next time emotion rises, do nothing. Pause, breathe, and remember. Control yourself first, and everything else follows. This single habit changes how people experience you. Your silence creates weight, your presence creates gravity, and your reactions no longer belong to others. Over time, this discipline reshapes your identity. You stop being someone who is easily pulled, triggered, or controlled. And without saying a word, people feel it. Silence at this level is an inner contract. It is the decision to protect your nervous system, your dignity, and your sense of self. Master this, and respect stops being something you chase. It becomes something you generate, and this is only the beginning. The next trait goes even deeper into how silence shapes true authority. Stay with this lesson, because everything builds from here. Control starts inside, always, without exception, daily. Trait 2. They observe more than they speak. Most people talk to be seen. They speak to fill silence, to prove intelligence, to protect their ego. Quiet people do the opposite. They watch. When you speak less, your attention shifts outward. You notice tone before words, pauses before promises, patterns before excuses. You begin to see people as they are, not as they present themselves. This is uncomfortable at first. Silence removes the distraction of your own voice. It forces you to sit with reality. Stoic thinkers understood this deeply. They believed clarity comes from perception, not reaction. Before you can act wisely, you must first see clearly. The quiet observer gathers information others miss. Who interrupts? Who avoids eye contact? Who speaks confidently but says nothing of substance? These details reveal power dynamics no loud voice can hide. When you speak less, people reveal more. They talk to fill the space you leave open. They expose motives, insecurities, and intentions without realizing it. This is why silence feels threatening to some. They cannot read you, but you are reading them. That imbalance creates quiet authority. Think back to moments when you trusted the wrong person. Often, the signs were there, buried under noise. You ignored them because you were too busy explaining yourself or trying to connect. Quiet people do not rush connections. They let behavior speak first. They trust patterns over promises. Over time, this habit sharpens intuition. You stop needing reassurance. You stop chasing clarity from others. You already see enough. This trait builds emotional safety inside you. When you understand people, you are less shocked by them. Disappointment fades when expectation is replaced by awareness. And when you finally choose to speak, your words land differently. They are grounded in observation, not impulse. People listen because they sense depth behind your silence. Speaking less is not about withdrawal. It is about presence. It is about respecting reality enough to observe it fully. This is how silence becomes insight. And insight, quietly held, becomes power. Trait 3. They don't explain themselves. Most people feel an almost painful urge to explain their choices. When questioned, they rush to justify, defend, and soften their decisions, hoping to be understood. What they rarely notice is that every explanation quietly hands power away. Quiet people break this habit deliberately. They understand that explaining too much signals uncertainty, not clarity. The more you defend yourself, the more you invite judgment. Silence closes that door. Stoic philosophy teaches self-validation. Your values do not require external approval to exist. When you explain endlessly, you place your worth in someone else's hands. When you stop, you reclaim it. Think about how often you've over-explained a simple boundary. You felt nervous. You added reasons. You watched the other person listen, not to understand, but to evaluate. In that moment, the balance shifted. Those who speak less accept being misunderstood. This is not arrogance. It is emotional maturity. They know that clarity is proven through consistency, not conversation. When someone demands justification, silence becomes a filter. People who respect you stay. Those who seek control grow uncomfortable. Either way, you gain truth. This trait feels difficult at first because it challenges a deep fear, the fear of rejection. We explain because we want acceptance. Quiet strength comes from choosing integrity over approval. Over time, this changes how others relate to you. Your decisions appear final. Your boundaries feel solid. You stop negotiating your inner world for external comfort. Silence here is not emptiness. It is a statement. It says, I know why I chose this, and that is enough. When you no longer explain yourself, your energy stabilizes. You stop replaying conversations. You stop justifying your existence. Peace replaces tension. This is how quiet people protect their dignity. They speak when words add value, and they remain silent when words would weaken their position. In that silence, respect quietly forms. Not everyone will like this shift, but those who matter will feel it instantly. You are no longer asking to be accepted. You are standing, and standing quietly and firmly is what makes others step back. Without apology, without explanation, ever. Trait 4. They choose their words carefully. Quiet people understand that words are not neutral. Every sentence carries intention, energy, and consequence. While most speak to release tension or fill space, the reserved speak only when their words serve a purpose. They do not talk to impress. They do not talk to dominate conversations. They talk to move reality forward. This is why their voice, when finally heard, feels grounded and heavy. Stoic discipline teaches restraint before expression. To speak without intention is to scatter power. To wait is to condense it. Think about how often words are wasted. Complaints spoken too quickly, opinions shared without reflection, promises made to relieve pressure, not to be kept. Each careless word weakens trust. The quiet person avoids this trap. They pause before speaking. They ask themselves one question: does this need to be said? If the answer is no, silence remains the wiser choice. This habit builds internal alignment. When words are rare, they carry weight. People lean in, they listen, they remember. Careful speech also protects emotional integrity. You stop saying things you later regret. You stop revealing thoughts that should have stayed private. You stop handing ammunition to those who would misuse it. In moments of conflict, this restraint becomes powerful. While others escalate, the quiet person lowers the temperature. Their few words cut through chaos because they are deliberate, not reactive. This trait reshapes identity. You become known as someone measured, composed, and thoughtful. Not mysterious by strategy, but by discipline. There is humility in this silence. Choosing words carefully means accepting that not every thought deserves a voice. Wisdom grows when ego steps back. Over time, your presence changes conversations. People slow down around you. They choose their words more carefully. Silence invites responsibility. This is how authority forms without force. Not by speaking more, but by speaking better. When you choose your words carefully, you respect yourself and the moment. You treat language as a tool, not an impulse. You become someone whose voice matters precisely because it is not always heard. In the long run. Trait 5. They are comfortable with silence. Most people fear silence because it exposes what they are avoiding. When conversation stops, anxiety rushes in, and they scramble to fill the space with words. Quiet people do not escape that moment, they stay. Comfort with silence is emotional stability. It signals that you do not need constant stimulation or approval to feel grounded. You're not afraid of your own thoughts, and that calm is felt by everyone around you. Stoic wisdom treats silence as a training ground. When nothing is said, the mind reveals its habits. Restlessness, insecurity, impatience all surface. The quiet person notices these impulses and lets them pass without acting. This is why silence creates pressure in social settings. Those who rely on noise feel exposed. They talk faster, they overshare, they reveal more than they intended. Meanwhile, the composed observer remains centered. Think about negotiations, conflicts, or uncomfortable conversations. The person who can sit calmly in silence controls the rhythm. They force clarity, they invite truth. Silence becomes leverage. Being comfortable with silence also builds inner trust. You no longer panic when conversations slow. You stop assuming silence means rejection. Instead, you recognize it as a neutral space. This trait deepens self-respect. You stop entertaining every thought out loud. You allow ideas to mature internally before releasing them. That patience protects you from regret and misunderstanding. Over time, people respond differently to you. They sense that you are not easily rattled. Your stillness sets the tone. Others adapt to your pace rather than pulling you into theirs. Silence also strengthens boundaries. You do not rush to reassure. You do not chase validation. You let space exist without explanation. This changes how relationships form. Connections become intentional, not frantic. Conversations gain depth instead of noise. Comfort with silence is not emptiness. It is presence without performance. It is knowing that your value does not depend on being heard at every moment. When you master this trait, silence stops feeling awkward. It feels natural. And in that natural stillness, respect quietly grows around you, without effort or force. Trait 6. They don't compete for attention. Most people are quietly addicted to attention. They speak to be noticed, interrupt to stay relevant, and perform opinions to secure a place in the room. Attention becomes a currency, and everyone is competing. Quiet people step out of this game entirely. They do not chase eyes, laughs, or approval. Their sense of worth is internal, not negotiated moment by moment. Stoic discipline teaches detachment from validation. When you stop needing to be seen, you stop being controlled. Silence removes you from the market of approval. Think about how exhausting competition for attention feels. The constant need to respond, react, and contribute drains energy and clarity. Quiet people conserve that energy. They are present without performing. They listen without planning their next line. They allow others to reveal themselves while remaining grounded. This creates an unexpected shift in power. When you are not trying to impress, your presence feels authentic. People sense that you are not seeking anything from them. In group settings, this trait stands out immediately. While others compete to be heard, the quiet person stays centered. When they finally speak, the room pauses. Not competing for attention also protects inner peace. You stop measuring yourself against reactions. You stop chasing relevance. You act according to values, not applause. This changes relationships deeply. People who only connect through noise drift away. Those who value depth move closer. Over time, you become selective with your energy. You no longer scatter it across conversations that lead nowhere. You invest it where it matters. Quiet authority grows here. It is calm, unforced, and stable. Others feel it without being told. This trait is not about withdrawal. It is about self-respect. You choose not to fight for space because you already own your place. When attention no longer controls you, freedom begins, and that freedom is felt long before it is understood. This inner freedom reshapes how you walk, listen, decide, and relate, creating a quiet gravity that draws respect naturally, without effort, explanation, or noise, from those around you daily in every environment possible. Trait 7. They let actions speak. Quiet people understand a truth that reshapes how they live. Words can promise anything, but actions reveal everything. While many speak to craft an image, the silent focus on consistency. They do not announce intentions. They do not explain plans. They move day after day, letting behavior accumulate into credibility. This patience separates real strength from performance. Stoic philosophy places character above reputation. Reputation is fragile, dependent on opinion. Character is built privately. Through repeated choices, no one applauds. Quiet people choose the second path. Think about the individuals you respect most. It is rarely because of what they said. It is because of how they showed up when it mattered. Reliability leaves a deeper mark than eloquence. When someone speaks less, you naturally watch what they do. Their actions become louder because there is no noise to distract from them. Every follow-through matters. Every inconsistency stands out. This creates accountability. Quiet people cannot hide behind words. They know this, and it sharpens their discipline. They act with intention because they understand actions are permanent signals. Letting actions also protects emotional energy. You stop arguing about who you are. You stop defending your integrity. You simply live it. Over time, resistance fades. There is a calm confidence that comes from alignment. When words and actions match, inner tension dissolves. You trust yourself more deeply, and that self-trust is felt by others. This trait changes how power is perceived. People stop challenging you verbally. They wait to see what you will do. Respect shifts from opinion to expectation. In professional life, this is magnetic. In personal relationships, it is grounding. People feel safe around those who act consistently, quietly, and without drama. Quiet people accept that results take time. They are not in a hurry to be recognized. They understand that true authority compounds slowly. When actions speak long enough, words become unnecessary. Presence replaces persuasion, and without demanding respect, they earn it through lived proof, steady commitment, and integrity that cannot be questioned, challenged, or ignored by anyone paying attention over time. Trait 8. They are hard to manipulate. Manipulation feeds on reaction. It needs emotional signals, explanations, and predictable responses to work. Quiet people offer none of these, and that is why they are difficult to control. When you speak less, you reveal less. There is no emotional leakage, no rushed defense, no impulsive agreement. Manipulators search for openings, but silence gives them nothing to grab. Stoic discipline trains this restraint. You learn to pause, to watch the intention behind words, and to separate what is said from why it is said. This awareness becomes armor. Think about past situations where you felt pressured into decisions you later regretted. Someone talked quickly. They pushed urgency. They demanded a response. The moment you reacted, leverage was lost. Quiet people refuse that rhythm. They slow conversations down. They create space. In that space, manipulation weakens. Silence also disrupts emotional hooks. Guilt, fear, flattery, and anger lose power when they are not immediately answered. Without reaction, manipulation collapses. This trait builds deep self-trust. You no longer feel obligated to respond instantly. You give yourself permission to think, to step back, to choose deliberately. Over time, people sense this boundary. Those who seek control grow uncomfortable. They cannot read you. They cannot rush you. They move on. This creates emotional safety. You stop feeling drained after interactions. You stop replaying conversations. Your energy remains intact. Being hard to manipulate is not about suspicion. It is about clarity. You see tactics without becoming hostile. You remain calm without becoming passive. Quiet strength here is subtle. You do not confront manipulation loudly. You dissolve it quietly. This changes how power flows in your life. You become selective, intentional, and grounded. Your decisions feel cleaner. Your relationships feel lighter. Silence becomes protection, not walls, but distance. Not aggression, but composure. When manipulation loses access to you, respect grows naturally. People adjust their behavior around you. They become more honest, more careful. And without announcing it, you step into quiet authority, rooted in awareness, patience, and self-control that remains steady under pressure even when emotions, expectations, and demands intensify. Trait 9. They radiate quiet confidence. Quiet confidence is not something you declare. It is something others feel before you ever speak. It comes from inner stability, not performance, and it is one of the strongest signals of authority a person can carry. People who speak less are not trying to convince anyone of their worth. They are settled within themselves. This creates a calm presence that makes others slow down, listen, and adjust their behavior instinctively. Stoic philosophy teaches that confidence grows from self-mastery. When you are no longer ruled by impulse, insecurity fades. You stop scanning the room for approval. You stand firmly in who you are. Think about moments when someone entered a room and changed the atmosphere without saying a word. Their posture was relaxed. Their movements were intentional. Their energy was contained. That is quiet confidence. This confidence does not rush. It does not interrupt. It does not seek validation. It allows silence to exist comfortably, trusting that nothing needs to be proven. Quiet confidence is built through consistency, through keeping promises to yourself, through handling pressure without collapse, through choosing discipline when no one is watching. Over time, this internal alignment becomes visible. People sense reliability. They sense emotional safety. They sense strength that does not need to dominate. This is why quiet confidence commands respect. It is not aggressive, yet it is unshakable. It does not demand space, yet it owns it naturally. When you radiate this presence, interactions change. People speak more honestly, they listen more carefully, they test less. Your silence becomes grounding. This trait protects you from comparison. You stop measuring yourself against others. You stop reacting to insecurity in the room. Your focus turns inward, where control lives. Quiet confidence is not arrogance. It is humility supported by certainty. You know your values. You know your limits. You move accordingly. As this confidence grows, fear loses influence. Anxiety quiets. Decision-making becomes clean and direct. In silence, your confidence speaks. It tells others you are anchored, and anchored people are not easily moved, pressured, or ignored over time. Trait 10. They command respect. Without asking, respect is often chased loudly, yet earned quietly. Those who speak less understand that respect cannot be demanded, explained, or negotiated. It emerges naturally when inner order is established. People who command respect without asking do not posture or assert dominance. They do not remind others of their value. They simply exist with consistency, boundaries, and calm self-possession. That steadiness speaks louder than words ever could. Stoic philosophy teaches that respect is a consequence, not a goal. When your actions align with your values, when your emotions are regulated, and when your presence is grounded, others respond instinctively. Respect follows discipline. Think about how people adjust their behavior around certain individuals. Voices lower, jokes soften, boundaries are honored. Not because fear is present, but because clarity is. Quiet people do not tolerate chaos in their inner world, and that order shapes the outer one. They do not overreact, they do not overshare, they do not overexplain. Each restraint signals strength. This trait forms gradually. It is built through all the previous habits. Emotional control, observation, silence, intentional speech, detachment from validation, consistent action, and resistance to manipulation. Together, they create authority. Respect without asking feels different. It is not fragile. It does not disappear when opinions change. It is rooted in trust, predictability, and self-command. Over time, people stop testing you. They stop crossing lines casually. They recognize that you are not easily moved, persuaded, or shaken. Your presence sets a standard. This does not make you distant. It makes you dependable. People know where you stand even when you say little. Quiet respect also brings peace. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself. You stop explaining your worth. You move through life without the constant friction of seeking approval. Commanding respect without asking is freedom. It is the release from external validation. It is the result of mastering yourself so thoroughly that others respond without instruction. This is the silent reward of discipline. Not paying attention, not praise, but a calm recognition that you are solid, grounded, and not to be underestimated. Today, we explored a truth that often goes unnoticed in a noisy world. Silence is not weakness. It is discipline, awareness, and power held in reserve. You've seen how people who speak less control their emotions, observe deeply, avoid unnecessary explanations, choose words with care, and remain comfortable in silence. You've learned how they stop competing for attention, let actions speak, resist manipulation, radiate quiet confidence, and ultimately command respect without ever asking for it. These traits are not talents you're born with. They are practices you can begin today. Start small. Pause before reacting. Speak only when your words add value. Let silence exist without rushing to fill it. Observe more than you explain. Over time, you'll feel the shift inside you. Your mind becomes calmer. Your presence becomes steadier. and people respond differently, naturally. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the greatest power is self-mastery. When you master yourself, the world no longer controls you. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, take it with you into your next conversation, your next challenge, your next moment of tension. Practice silence as strength. If you found value here, consider subscribing for more Stoic wisdom on discipline, resilience, and inner power. I appreciate your attention, your time, and your presence. Until next time, stay grounded, stay disciplined, and remember, your silence is not empty. It is powerful.